Good morning, my friends, and welcome to the 10-Minute Book Talk, where three best-selling authors talk all things bookish with you for 10 short and sweet minutes. I'm your host this morning, Rachel Linden, and I am joined by my delightful and talented co-hostesses, Katherine Reay and Marie Bostwick. Wave, Marie. And today I am delighted because we have the very prolific, very talented Heather Weber with us. Her book, A Certain Kind of Starlight, just came out, and I got to blurb this book, and it's always super fun when you get to blurb a book because you get to see it months before other people do. So it's like getting in on a secret. And then it's even more fun when you fall in love with the book and then you're really excited about the book. So I'm just seeing the cover for the first time because I just had an e-copy, and it's beautiful. And I'm very excited because I loved this story. It was genuinely delightful. So Heather, welcome. And can you tell us a little bit about your beautiful new book?
Thank you. So in A Certain Kind of Starlight, the town of Starlight, Alabama is famous for a star that had fallen more than 100 years ago, and it left a crater. And in that crater at night rises a beautiful aurora. And if people walk through that light, they receive guidance and clarity. And no one needs that clarity more than two estranged sisters who come back to town to help their aunt run her bakery while she has health troubles. At its heart, well, at its core, it is a story about broken hearts, literal and figurative, and trying to figure out how to heal them, even while knowing that they might not be fixable. And it's still, it deals with some really tough subjects, but it's still really heartwarming and uplifting.
Love it.
Fantastic. I like that juxtaposition personally of the very realistic challenges in life with heartwarming and uplifting. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
What inspired you? Because you've got sisters, you've got, an aunt bakery. What inspired you to put these elements together and feel you needed to tell this story?
The kernel of the story started in 2007. It was my first trip to Alabama, and I drove down. No, I flew down. I keep saying I drove down. I flew down, but I rented a car. So when I was on the roads, I saw a license plate that said "Stars Fell" on Alabama, and I didn't know what that meant. I had never heard it before, and I didn't know what it was in reference to. But it turned out it was in reference to a meteor shower that happened in the 1800s where it looked like hundreds, maybe thousands of stars were falling out of the sky. It was widespread across the United States, but it just happened that Alabama took that and put it on a license plate. Um, and those plates are retired now, by the way, which I'm sad about. I hope they bring them back. So I was really intrigued by the thought of all these stars falling from the sky. And I knew I wanted to write a magical story about it one day. And I have referenced this event in previous books before. Just that just tells you how intrigued I was by it, that I keep mentioning it. And I'm like, this is the book. This is the book, A Certain Kind of Starlight. And I got ready to write it this about 2 years ago. I had researched it. I knew I wanted to write about sisters. I had a different plot line in mind, and then my dad had a heart attack. And he then had a very, well, moderately successful quadruple bypass. And when the doctor in the waiting room was telling us about, the worst case and the best case scenarios, I just couldn't stop thinking about the worst case scenario. What would you do if you were faced with death? What would you do if you knew you were living on borrowed time? How would you react? How would you prepare? How would your loved ones react? Because I was seeing it all firsthand, and I was like, after a while, after a few weeks, he's doing better now. He's okay. He's still here with us, knock wood, please. But after a while, those questions kind of remained, like even after he was home, and I'm like, I need to change the story to kind of reflect those questions going into it. And that's how I ended up with A Certain Kind of Starlight. And I love baking. I love baked goods, so I knew I wanted a bakery in it. All my books will have some sort of baking element in it. And I just love family dynamics. And I especially love a dysfunctional family, trying to figure out how they can heal each other and kind of come together. There's a big theme in this book about being stronger together. And that's
Mhm.
really what my characters need to learn.
Hmm. Beautiful.
Well, I really, this is a book about secrets, about homecoming, about the people we love. I was going to ask you about the themes, but I feel like you've talked about a lot of those. So I'm going to go like, a little bit of a different direction now. So baking, I love to cook. I'm not much of a baker. So like, tell me about, how does baking kind of help the characters intersect? And just to be really specific, what are they baking? I'm deeply interested.
So the Aunt Bean, she owns a bakery. It's called the Starling Cake Company, and there's magic baked into the cakes. So people who come to the bakery and eat the cakes will kind of get a sense of hope and optimism for the future. It's like a glimmer of hope. It will help them see them through some hard times, kind of just being able to look past whatever is going on and see ahead a little bit. So I love bringing a little bit of magic into the stories. And that's one way I did it in this book is through the cakes. And it was a lot of fun researching them.
Are there some recipes? Can we look forward to some recipes?
I usually do recipes with every book, and I didn't do one with this book. And I think it's because cakes are a little intimidating. I just started making cakes from scratch maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I still use a box mix every once in a while. But it does make a big difference, but it's not easy. They're temperamental.
Yeah.
Oh, I love all of this because I love baking and I love magical realism, all the things. So, okay, Heather. So you were telling us as we were chatting before we started recording this that you have written and published about 35 books, and that you first were with me, which is amazing. And also, I feel like you must have started when you were 12 because you look so young, or you're just like churning out many books a year, which any of those things are impressive. So I am curious because you've also changed genres. You were writing mysteries and now you're doing kind of feel-good magical realism, family stories. Why did you choose magical realism? What drew you to that aspect? And then what part does that play in your books?
Well, this goes back a little bit to I was writing a series for HarperCollins way back when, the mystery series, and the writers found out that HarperCollins was dropping their cozy mystery line. And so I needed to come up with a new series. And my agent at the time, she's like, well, what are you interested in? What kind of fascinates you? Kind of maybe go down that path. And I said, what really fascinates me is, these types of magic. And so that my next series that was published was the Lucy Valentine series that was with Macmillan, and she was a psychic whose family found could match people with their auras, and she helped the state police solve cold case crimes and helped track down lost loves. And so from there, I got kind of hooked on writing magical stuff. That's more supernatural fantasy almost, more than magical realism, but it kind of opened the door. And then I went on to write as Heather Blake, my pen name, the Witchcraft series. They're lovable witches set in Salem, Massachusetts. And also another series, the Potion Shop series, which is set in Alabama. And in the Witchcraft series, there's 9 books in that series. I really started to focus on the characters' emotional journeys. And you will see it if you followed my books along this journey. You will see I was headed towards writing what I write now all along. But that kind of, that I had the magic in those. So I knew I had the idea for Blackbird back in 2013, and I didn't have time to write it. I was writing 2 to 3 books a year. And then the publisher of my Cozy Sister Mysteries closed their cozy line. So I had a decision to make whether to try to come up with a new mystery series or take a leap of faith and start writing the books of my heart. And I took the leap, and luckily it all worked out. But I love including magic in my books. I love magical realism, especially because it's magic that doesn't necessarily have to be explained. It just is. It's very normal and natural to the people in the world of this book. To them, it's not strange at all that you would go to a bakery and get a piece of cake and be able to feel a calmness and sense of peace and hope for the future. And I love that. And as a person, I really want magic to exist in the world. I look for it everywhere. I just kind of love the idea that it's out there lending us a helping hand.
I would go to that bakery. I would go.
Yeah, I would go to that bakery. I feel
Me
that
too.
cake that isn't full of magic. So imagine how much
Exactly.
fun it is to eat cake that's
Just
full
cake.
of magic. Yeah, delicious cake. Well, thank you, Heather, so much for being with us. I want to ask you the question that we ask every author here on the 10-minute book talk, and that is, Heather Weber, what is bringing you joy today?
Oh my gosh. Well, being here with you guys is bringing me joy. And also I'm off to a book club in about an hour. They read my book uh, at the coffee shop of Curiosities. So we'll be talking about that. And so I am baking. There's vanilla scones in that book. So I'm baking those to bring with me, and that has brought me a lot of joy today.
That's
I love that. Also,
fabulous.
like you're going and you're bringing baked goods to talk about your book.
You are the best author ever.
You are the
That's
best
author
author. You're
visit
making
to
us
book
look
club.
bad, Heather. You're making
Yeah,
the rest
we
of us
don't
look
bring
bad.
baked goods to our
You
book
don't
club.
bring baked goods.
I don't bring them to every book club, but this one is for my daughter's work. So, and they're having a big to do. They
You're the
have
best mom ever. There you go.
it's very sweet. So, yeah.
That
Have so much fun.
Okay, well, hold up your beautiful book again.
Okay.
Readers, if you are looking for a delightful, wonderful, magical, yummy book full of family, sisters, secrets, broken hearts, and how to mend them, and all the good stuff, then go immediately. This is just out, brand new, hot off the presses, and I recommend it thoroughly. I can give it 2 thumbs up because I read it and loved it. So thank you, Heather, for being with us, and
Thank you so
all.
much.
Thanks so much for watching, and join us next week for more 10-minute book talk fun. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Thank you.